we'll just ground back into this space for a moment and acknowledge everything that just came before about who is wisdom and what is she about. And I find it fascinating that there was a king who wanted to write about her and share her with the world. He was an interesting character because there was a ritual, of like his anointing into being king, right? Where it says God came to him in a dream and asked, what would you like to have, essentially? And he asked for the wisdom to know how to lead the people. And God said, well, since you asked for wisdom, you didn't ask for riches or wealth, I'm going to give you all of that as well. Which seems to fit the storyline, right? There's something about wisdom that is super abundant and says, if you'll just keep your eyes on me, I'll take care of the rest. Which is another theme that we find in the ancient Semitic scriptures. And when I talk about the scriptures, I don't just mean the Bible. By the way, there are a lot of them that are not in the canon or the accepted book of the Bible. The word for Bible just means book, by the way. So it's just a collection of books, right? That's what the Bible is. And there was once a meeting of men who decided which books would be collected into the collection, accepted into the collection. But there are others, and they are fascinating to read. And also, as we are just coming back to where we were, this may come up later, actually. Maybe I should hold off on that. But I feel like saying this because she is so amazing, and the way she's shaped my life is outstanding. The secret, the mystery of the message. Okay, religion calls it the gospel. Okay, but I'm saying the secret message, okay, is all about her, actually. And if you look closely at the teachings of this man that we now call Jesus, he has so much to say about the Holy Spirit. And remember earlier, well, here it is, about the sharing of one breath. Well, the word for spirit is the same word for breath and wind. So Holy Spirit is more like sacred breath also. It is the one breath that we all share. And it is the epitome of her presence. It is that instant calm, that sense of, okay, everything's going to be all right. This is the Holy Spirit, the sacred breath that we all share. It's not some religious control, but it is being used as religious control, which is the worst kind of offense for her. And remember, she has the sword. And when she swings it, I don't know what that means when she swings it, except you probably don't want to be in the way.
Right.
Okay, so in the 3D we experience reactivity and comparison and separation and me versus you and us versus them and survival of the fittest, linear time, armor, identity. How do I protect myself, right? And somehow my need to protect becomes who I am. I'm just being who I am,
Right.
Waiting for the next problem. This is all three-dimensional thinking or mindset. Okay, 4D. Just to sum up 4D, everything feels charged. It's in the bottom left corner. Dreams are loud, you see numbers and things appear in their patterns and songs feel like messages. All of 4D is great, but it's also a bit unstable, upper right. It can feel powerful one minute, but you can still be feeling anxious the next minute. You can still kind of find yourself in a loop or being stuck in the 4D. The tip at the bottom is really important. Ask for one confirmation or risk training self-doubt. Asking again and again and again. Because this connection to wisdom is your own self-connection. She's there in and as you. So if you doubt her, you're in self-doubt, and this is the loop. There's nothing to feel guilty or shameful about with this. Oftentimes it's just inexperience. It doesn't matter how old we are. Inexperience just means maybe just haven't had the right light bulb turn on that goes, oh, I don't know how to hear my intuition, you know. Okay, moving into 5D, we get to coherence, heartful living, and union. This is where this whole talk of sacred femininity and sacred masculine, reveal yourself. Union is the thing. In English terms, today we call it marriage. What else to say about how we've taken a word like marriage, but what we're imagining is not sacred. It's not this. It's not the unity of sacred masculinity and sacred femininity. We've made it about something else, but that's exactly how our matrix works. And this is why we must have these kinds of conversations. So we break free of the matrix. So we start to use our words in a sacred way. So on the left side there, when your soul and nervous system perceive unity, and you are in your body, and your heart is the leader, not your brain, your logic, or your fear, and you're okay without any external validation, now you're entering the 5D sense of things. And you decide from inner clarity rather than chasing confirmations. The chasing of confirmations. Wow. 5D is more about love and truth and expanded responsibility, which has something to do with harmony and honesty and alignment with sacred law. This is expanded responsibility. Another way to say expanded responsibility, as it is connected to love and truth, is to say that one holds an awareness of sacred law. And this is why the harmony and the honesty begin to matter to you. The sacred law is really simple. It says, love God with absolutely all of your energy. Your heart, your mind, your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Those are the two great sacred laws. If you just pay attention to those two, you'll have everything else down. And remember when I say, or I don't know if I've said this, but when we say God, we are meaning the self, the I am, which is the human birthright. It's not something outside of you. And it never has been. And it never will be. So to love God with everything you have is to honor, respect, be in awe of, revere one's self. And knowing that that selfhood is the one and only selfhood that is the container of the entire universe. It is a fractal existence, meaning we now know that the cell is a picture of the universe just as much as the universe is a picture of the cell. This is what we mean about the fractal universe. And therefore, I amness is on all of these scales as well. Yeah? Okay. In 5D, we can notice the patterns without chasing them, is the last line. So in 4D, we were kind of always chasing the pattern, right? But here, there's no need to chase. We just let it be. The pattern. You're seeing the things, you know? Just release and let it be.
Question. The presence, the one, is not also outside of us as well as us?
Yes.
Okay.
You could say both, yeah.
Okay.
Outside and inside, yes.
Thank you.
Which is it's back to that, like, oh, we're in this world where we're experiencing this balance of like, well, trying not to get too caught up in the this or that, but the both and.
Okay.
So from the Gospel of Thomas, this would be one of those writings that's not in the canon. Jesus said, when you make the two into one, you will become children of Adam. And when you say, mountain, move from here, it will move. So this is one of the examples. It's not in the canon. few of us know about it, and he says this, when you make the two into one, the union, the marriage. In the top right corner, the yang yin symbol, right? It's a perfect symbol. The marrying of the two, making the two into one. The sacred secret, the timeless mystery. Yes?
I don't want to take us on a tangent, but do we know why this isn't in the canon?
Well, I mean, the debate it's just that, a debate, meaning there's a lot of variables and reasons as to, oh, we don't think it's authoritative, or we don't think Thomas actually wrote it, or there's a bunch of nonsense. What, as a student, I do is I read the text. I see if the text aligns with the other texts. I don't care who or did not, or when it was written. I don't let any of that stop me from connecting the dots. Do these texts work together? Do they match? Is the context similar? Are there similar sayings found? I just am able to connect the dots between the texts themselves, you know? So we already read this one. But the sacred secret, the timeless mystery, the great one acquired me in the very beginning, before the creative work started. What this would mean for the sacred masculine types in the room. Okay, so let me say this. The conversation is very interesting to have about sacred feminine and masculine. So far, it's a dance back and forth between 3D and 5D with this conversation. It's like we're saying there's unity, and we're also realizing how these two elements show up biologically. This is the dance, right? That we are all embodiments of sacred masculine and sacred feminine and the unity thereof. And then biologically, we have different wiring, which also seems to scream masculine and feminine. So when I say masculine types in the room, you know that I'm talking about those who are dominantly masculine, biologically speaking, who also have the sacred feminine within their nature and their being. Okay, how do we say what that nature is? Okay, the masculine nature, and I'm speaking from the beginning, Proverbs 8:22, the great one acquired me, or the unnameable desired me, or the first archetype, right? I already said consciousness is the container to hold all things. This is consciousness, the container to hold all things. Nothing arises without consciousness being there. And as a masculine type, biologically speaking, this is why you see men oftentimes shut down first. They go into silence first, or the emoting is not there. Just, right? And this is why the culture says, boys don't cry. It's become stone-like. But that's going into the wounded and the toxic side of what it means to be masculine, right? Masculine, hold it all, which means you're going to have to feel, yes. You're going to have to be present. That's the thing about consciousness. It is always present. So the masculine, sacred masculinity does not run. But wounded will, and toxic might. And then femininity is the awareness. There's a lot more movement. This is what awareness does. So in a culture that says really sour things about the feminine being too much to handle, or sometimes it's just TOO, it's just two, right? You know?
I never heard that before.
It's the emoting. It's all of the energy. But you realize nothing gets done without that emoting and that energy. It is creative. It's very, very creative. So the sacred feminine is very well balanced with her masculine self. And the sacred masculine is very well balanced with his sacred feminine self. It's like, how do I feel and not shut down? That's what the sacred masculine is going to learn. And her thing is, oh, I'm feeling everything. How do I pull it back and still let the work happen? Pulling back doesn't mean I stop or I shut down. It just means I can gauge how, it's going to come up later in a better way than I feel like I'm saying right now. But the thing that we're seeing about Lady Justice was she has the scales, right? And it's just this dance, balancing. It's a flux, you know? Masculine and feminine are energetic states of being expressed in various forms. They are polar opposites. They are the dance of life, the do-be-do-be-do. Rest, act, rest, rest. Submit, follow, submit, follow. One thing I like to say is I'm totally happy if my counterpart is willing to step into the pilot's chair and I co-pilot. And we do that dance, pilot and co-pilot. And it just depends on the situation, the circumstances, the environment, on who needs to do which one, you know? But we're both sensitive to it, and somehow we both know what the situation requires. But if any one of us always wants to sit co-pilot or always wants to sit pilot, then how can we dance? It's not, it needs to flux.
So going back to the I can, then this natural rhythm of do and rest, act, submit, follow happens within
Yes.
here too. And when it's balanced here, then that's when the dance is able to maybe flow. If you
So good.
select if we're selecting in a way that the partner is willing to do the work.
Yes. Did everyone catch that?
No.
Okay, so Karen brought up that if we can do this dance within ourselves, we're most likely going to be the partner who can do it.
But it is a dance that we do with ourselves first within wisdom and gravity, because we have them. And so it's the I can before the we can. I go back to what you were saying. You
Yes,
spoke
I
that slide that said, I can,
I am,
I am,
I can,
I can,
we
we
can.
can.
That's
Right.
it. Yeah. So this is, we won't talk a whole lot more about relationships, except just to say that the relationship is here first, you know? It's not about the other. It's never been about anything external. But it's really interesting that we have to kind of get back to bringing ourselves home to ourselves, you know? Because we've been so out there, just like trying to do the thing and taking care of everyone else, and it's never just been, who am I and how do I relate to myself? When have I abandoned myself? How have I ignored myself? If I learn to do and to be just with myself, then I'm learning the dance of pilot and co-pilot. I'm learning what that's like. Oh, it's time for me to pilot. It's time to make this happen. Oh, it's time to rest. It's time to sit co-pilot, or it's time to take a nap, right? Like, if I learn it here, it makes more sense. If Lance learns it right here within himself, it makes more sense when I am spending time with you. Oh, I can rest now. Or, oh, it's time for me to, like, oh, that's what time it is. Okay. Like, you just get in the right mode. I thought I saw a hand somewhere. Oh.
So when you find yourself out of balance, I never had the vocabulary to figure out why I was stepping on my own toes, why I was spinning out. I mean, I wasn't dancing. It was all these other things, and it just created a lot of stress and a lot of confusion. So, like, how do you do that? You have any tips on when you get yourself off this way or off
Yes.
that way?
Thank you for asking this question. The thing that I think is really important with this question is realizing that sacred femininity is all movement. So when you're feeling off, you're in over movement zone, and it's time to think, oh, it's time to rest. It's time to come back to center. It's time to come back to presence, sacred masculinity. So, you know, that means that this person that you're seeing sitting in this chair can act in an over feminine way. This person. I can go into over action. That's, action is feminine. To move, to create, that's the feminine. This does not, and there's a difference between just saying the feminine and the sacred feminine. Just as much as there's a difference in saying wounded or toxic feminine. You know, we're trying to get into sacred expression, not any of the other ways that may show up. Okay, so then, and I've said a bit about the wounded and toxic masculine as like the shutting off, just the complete, like, you know, avoidance of all emotion, or the, yeah. What's next here? The discussion of sacred feminine and sacred masculine is beyond biological gender. The complete human is the one who has integrated both gender polarities. Humans are truly doing the work when they are learning how to integrate both the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine, rather than acting out of wounded or toxic expression. Okay. Another one from the Gospel of Thomas. When you make the two into one, and when you make the inner like the outer, and the outer like the inner, and the upper like the lower, and when you make male and female into a single one, so that the male will not be male, nor the female be female, then you will enter the kingdom. And the kingdom, in both Greek and in ancient Hebrew, is a feminine gender term. So it is more accurately the queendom. And think about it, the queen's domain. A domain is a place where there's a lot of things happening. And we already know that that fits, right? If anything's moving, that's the feminine. The kingdom, the queendom, or is this domain where everything's moving, right? There's economy, and there's resource, and there's merchants, and everything's moving about.
I think I know now why they don't want this in the canon.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why the men chose to translate it as kingdom instead of queendom. It's clearly feminine gendered. I mean, they were honest enough to put that in the feminine gender, you know, like, it's there. Let's see. Yes.
I have a question or maybe a comment, I'm not sure which, probably relating to the last slide about dance. And that is, I was thinking of actual dance, and you know, my generation, or how I grew up, dancing was just jumping around the dance floor like a maniac, you know, everyone kind of by themselves, just doing whatever. And I started joining in the traditional Irish set dances, which are very old, like possibly even ancient dances that are communal dances, and they're gendered, but people can sort of cross the line, you know, but there's definitely masculine over here, feminine, you know, over here. And it's very, I mean, it's choreography, you know, it's a communal dance, and it's really powerful to me. And I wonder, like, I guess my question is, what do you think that power is, and do you think, like, is that why as sort of a species we're so attracted to dance? Like that maybe it's not a metaphor, maybe it is like a performance of that thing?
I like that idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Abraham, yeah.
I'd say yes. Like, there's a really deep Christian theological writing, and they call the Trinity the inner dance.
I like it.
Trinity.
The what dance?
The inner dance.
The inner dance.
Inner dance.
It's actually the act of creation of the three dancing together. Act of creation is them reaching out in partnership. And I dance a lot too, and it's really funny you bring it up because like a lot of the dance is about like compression and expansion and working as a partnership. I live in Scotland where we have dances like that. It's like, and it's all like here's so like couple dancing, and then here's the community.
And it's with the Irish dancing anyway, there's a lot of chains and braiding, so it's just a weaving of people and lines of people by men or women, or you could think masculine and feminine, I guess. You know?
And like the more that I dance over dancing for 2 years, kind of years grow with it, the more I dance in that community, everything that they say like is like this is like life, this is like life, this is like life, this is like life, this is like life. So I think it's great here.
Awesome. So we've got the God and the goddess, masculine and feminine, subconscious and conscious, heaven and earth, father and mother, Purusha and Prakriti, concentration and meditation, unmanifest and manifest, stillness and movement, silence and sound, sun and moon, electric and magnetic, brain and heart, forest and tree, universe and atom. As just more examples of what we're talking about here, that we're surrounded by all of this. The sacred dance is going on in so many different ways. And there are, I couldn't fit all of it, but there's at least twice as long as this probably. And the word harmony, right, is the sun and the moon are in harmony with one another. And again, the yang and yin symbol kind of is a nice way to think about sun and moon, like they're working together and they don't ever step their boundaries with one another. The balance and harmony of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine creates the present as the presence of the here and now. Their union or unity is complete selfhood, and it is also perfection, and is wholeness, it is love. The epitome of love is this union, is this self-completion. That is big. We use the word love, not anything quite like this. That love is unity. That love is perfection. That love is wholeness. It is complete selfhood. That you, yourself, know love when you know yourself as complete. Then you know love. But in a culture that sings about love and puts love into movies, love is something outside of yourself. Love is something that you're chasing after, and it's never central to you. And it may only be central to a relationship. And I don't know if that's ever worked out for anyone. I'm trying to think of an example of like, do I know anyone who, yeah. But in my experience, the harmony thing is also related to peace. And peace is related to rest. And when I have this complete selfhood with myself, I know what rest is. And if I get too outside of myself, looking out here, the rest goes, it leaves. Because what's outside of me, it's not controllable. It's not promised to remain. The only thing that's promised to remain is this I amness. It always is. It's always been with you, and it will never leave you. And it will always be with the ones you love when you cannot be. You should probably inform them of this. It's a big deal. It's like, I have this discussion with my kids. I remind them, I can't always be there, and I will not always be here, but the I am will always be with you. And guess what? We are always in connection because of that. Because of the I am, we are always in connection. So even if I'm not here in this physical form, I will be with you. Jesus said something very similar. Again, my respect, it's interesting coming out of Christianity, but also having my respect for the ancient writings of the book just soar, because all of this is there. It's there, but it's really interesting how you can take this information and twist it as a control over people, which again is the worst offense.
So is that called ego?
Oh, that's definitely ego.
Okay, well,
And the shadow, yes.
I'm just wanting to pin it down because it wants to fly off and tell me, no, it's not me.
Right.
I'm not creating all this mess.
Right. Let's see. The collaborative universe leading to the birth of the child. So the balance and the harmony of sacred masculine and feminine is the collaborative universe leading to the birth of the child. What is the child? Is it a new sense of self or a new self-awareness? So even about the child being born, thinking around Christmas time and that whole story also coming out of the Bible, it's pointing to something beyond just one human being being born. That this child comes from within. When the masculine and the feminine come together, the child is born.
Sure.
Within you. A new sense of self arises. And we talk about healing the inner child and things like that in this work as well, and it's along the same line. The sacred masculine is mature to hold the space, expanding to hold the expanding need. The sacred masculine can only speak through sacred femininity, the advocator, the intercessor, the comforter. And Jesus referred to the Holy Spirit and said, I'm going to send the counselor or the advocate or the comforter to you. He was talking about her.
Yeah.
He was talking about her. She is the sacred voice. She is the healing voice. And so if you know that my music online is under the band name The Healing Voice, THV. It's paying homage to her. The ground of existence, the field of existence is the sacred masculine. Okay, so this is just more of the same, but saying it in a slightly different way. It says, I hold all that is. I observe and contain it all. I hold it all. I am pure presence, observation, and beingness. The container which holds all things, the realm of pure possibility. Everything you could choose is there. Which is a way of saying all things are possible. Like wherever your dreams and aspirations, your sense of purpose lies, it's available, it's ready. If you've pictured it, if you felt it, it exists. And you begin to move in such a way that brings it forward. That movement is the feminine. She meets the masculine. She says, oh, I see that. Okay, let's make it. Let's bring it, let's make it happen. Everything you envision is available in consciousness. The sacred masculine is the only environment and presence of beingness by which we cannot escape the question of who we are and what we are here to do. There's something that's that can be intimidating about the sacred masculine because it is the backdrop of everything. And I like to say it's the reason why children know that there's something hiding under the bed or that there's something in the closet. It is the backdrop. And it is the most powerful thing in existence because it contains all things. So whatever the unknown is, it arises out of pure consciousness. And it can be frightening because it is everything. Everything you don't know. Which might include just how dangerous you are. Ooh.
Danger or powerful?
Both, thank you. Yes, because the misuse of power is dangerous. Thank you for that. The sacred feminine is the constant presence and mentality from which all awareness and senses arise. Our ability to sense and feel arise from her. And as the Yang Yin symbol portrays, these two, sacred masculine and feminine, are so interlinked and interdependent that it's impossible to say where one ends and one begins. So then it's our diligence to make the two into one. Stop trying to pinpoint or hold them down as so separate, because they're not so separate. You simply can't have one without the other. They are constantly in balance and harmony and in flux in the human biology and mentality with a capital M. Speaking of conscious awareness, right? Mentality. If there's only one mentality, another way of saying that, there's only one reality. It is made up of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. It is conscious awareness. It is how we think, how we perceive, how we think and perceive. In the science of mind, it is the one mind, the perfect mind. You have access to that. So whatever the question is, you also have the answer for it. And sometimes we just need that sounding board, right? It allows us to speak, and then as we speak, we come to the answer. Yep. You cannot comprehend sacred femininity without sacred masculinity, and vice versa. So, any workshop from this point forward, I can't separate the two. If I'm going to say anything about the sacred masculine, I have to say something about the sacred feminine, and vice versa. The duality is completely necessary to discern true identity and the first order of human purpose. Purpose being reason, passion, devotion, aspiration. What is the first order of human purpose? Answering the question, who am I? And the answer is in the question, I am. Yes?
Something that keeps coming to mind that this section for me, and I can't remember who, it might be Stanislavski, I can't remember who wrote it, but with performance as an actor, to say the playwright is well, it doesn't matter, but the playwright is the masculine, the actor is the feminine, and the performance itself is the child. And I keep thinking about that over and over with when this balance in your slide earlier with the child, because it's still all contained within one. And not being able to distinguish, because for anyone who's performed, when you know the lines enough that it becomes you, the instinct is coming, it's all there, and then
Right.
you still own it and feel it, but it is out there for others. But this is how I just keep thinking about it and have to say it.
One more slide and we're gonna have a lunch break. That this is the nature of the collaborative universe, and humans are the only ones who are not understanding that this is a collaborative universe.
Yeah.
You are participating and creating in a sacred living system. You are at cause within this sacred container because we're learning its mentality, right? Conscious awareness, masculine and feminine, left and right brain. You are at cause. It is the understanding that your mind is connected to the only mind. And that's why whatever you think, you can move forward and bring into this time, this here and now. And this is why nothing is impossible for you. All you have to do is think it and then follow the next step towards that thing, and it will come to be, for better or for worse. Yes, Abraham.
Yeah, I was gonna add that, like, for me, the access point was you are the cause. Like, a lot of us are, a lot of times it's always spoken of, like, you think it will become into being. I think the reality is when you go back retrospectively and start thinking about everything that has already happened, and you go, why did that happen? And you step back again, you can see where your original thought of that thing was. And when you started persisting that thought, and it came into being. I had, I think it was this morning actually, like people that say they want certain things, they want to be happy. And hopefully nobody's offended by this, but this is what the thought was, like people that are maybe not like chemically depressed, but like they have a depressed mentality, and they want to be happy. Their constant thought, though, is, I'm unhappy with this, I'm unhappy with this, I'm unhappy with this, unhappy with this circumstance. And so the universe, their I amness is actually stuck on, oh, the happiness to this person must actually be being in this situation, because that is what is on their mind consciously and unconsciously. So they are creating their own happiness. And until they can switch their mentality to being like, this is what makes me happy, and like switch it to something else, is like, that's what it was. Like, happiness was like a really interesting thought I had this morning. Like, happiness is getting what you want. And what you want is what you are consciously and unconsciously thinking at all moments. And so the universe delivers what you're always concentrating on. Because it thinks. But that's what you want. Why else would you be thinking about it all the time?
You want what Abraham said, saying you want what you constantly think about. So if you're even thinking about the thing that you say you do not want, the universe, the one mind, is only seeing that.
It comes, what comes up is, you know, if you ask, it will be given. What are you constantly asking for?
Right. Translated as, what are you constantly thinking of? And the statement was, of that depressed person was, I am, and the key is I am. So when you use the name, I am, you have to be aware of what you say next. Because you're declaring a state of being. You're declaring it. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? We've thought saying I am whatever is just, but no, there's a period after it. It's a declaration. It's a declarative sentence, you know? And it connects to something that's timeless. I amness is timeless, and it is spaceless. Ooh. Okay, we're going to go to lunch on that. I'll see you back here at 1. We'll try to start at 1:10, so we have exactly an hour, okay?